everyone, this is Athena from Courage Coaching. Thank you so much for stopping by today. If you are new to my channel, then please click on the subscribe button in order to get notifications for any new videos that I upload. In today's video, I wanted to talk about trauma bonding, but in particular, I would like to talk about trauma bonding with a parent. And obviously, trauma bonding only occurs when there has been abuse. So in this video, I'm focusing on trauma bonding with a narcissistic parent and how this affects the child, also when the child becomes an adult. When the child decides at some point in the future that they want to go no contact with the narcissistic parent, I want to focus on how difficult this is because there is a trauma bond. Now, generally speaking, trauma bonding occurs in abusive situations, and it used to be called Stockholm Syndrome. When you were born into your family, you were defenseless, right? You relied on your parents for everything. And in normal childhood homes, children attach to their parents in a healthy manner. But when the parents are emotionally abusive, the child is not able to attach in a healthy way and instead will end up developing a trauma bond. A lot of people will not understand. If they were to witness the way your parents treat you, if they were to witness the abuse, they would not understand why you, as the child of these parents, keep going back for more abuse. The problem is that when you are in a family, those are the parents that you get, whether they're abusive or not. And you will have an element of attachment, even if this attachment is unhealthy. And it will be a trauma bond because the parent will be inconsistent in their caregiving, in their love, in the way that they look after you. They will be inconsistent in the way that they validate your emotions. They will be hurtful, they will be rejecting. They will be highly critical. They will be punishing. So there's so many things in a dysfunctional family home that basically make trauma bonding very, very easy. So trauma bonding is essentially an unhealthy emotional attachment to a person who is an abuser. So in this case, we're talking about abusive parents. And this attachment is defined by dependency, sympathy, loyalty, trust, and affection that the victim may feel towards their narcissistic parents, which are essentially the child's abusers. Now, the trauma bond is usually formed because there is a constant cycle of abuse and positive reinforcement. For example, after instances of abusive behavior, many abusers will do something kind or loving, or they will make some sort of promise to change or be better. And every time the victim of this abuse witnesses this kind behavior, they are desperately hoping that this will happen again. So although the rest of the time there may be a lot of abuse, they are clinging on to those crumbs of kindness and affection that the abuser showed them that one time. And they want that to be repeated again because they desperately need the love, the attachment, the bonding that they may have felt in that fleeting moment. The problem is that this pattern of behavior, this abusive behavior with the positive reinforcement is extremely confusing for the victim. And because they are hopeful that if they were to stay a bit longer, maybe the abuser would change and they would be kind most of the time. But unfortunately, this isn't the case. So the victim stays and tolerates further abuse, and they continue to love the very person who is also hurting them. And this pattern of behavior continues and is reinforced every time, which is why it is so hard for a victim of abuse to leave a relationship. And this happens with narcissistic parents, But it is also what you see in domestically abusive relationships. It's also why you always see cases where the victim will have left the abuser, but will at some point go back to them. And then the abuse will start all over again. The cycle will start all over again. And it may be that the victim will have tried to leave the abuser again and again and again with no success. So a trauma bond is an extremely powerful, it's very dysfunctional, and it's very, very dangerous for the victim, because some victims, especially in domestically abusive relationships where the partner may be incredibly violent, end up killing the victim. And we have seen so many cases of this in the media. You may even know somebody who's actually died at the hands of their abuser. Now, in this video, I wanted to go through a couple of really important signs that show that somebody is trauma bonded to an abuser, whether that's your parent, whether that's your partner. It doesn't matter who it is, but if you display these signs, then you are most definitely trauma bonded with your abuser. The first one is that you don't see the abuser's actions as bad. You constantly make excuses for them and you defend their behavior. Number 2, you blame yourself for the abuse. You say, if I had maybe done this differently, then that wouldn't have happened. And that is something that the abuser will say to you. Number 3, you associate love with abuse, or you confuse love with abuse. If you have grown up in a narcissistically abusive home, you will have only felt abusive love, toxic love, conditional love. You don't know what normal love is like. So you will associate pain, criticism, neglect with love, and you will think that this is what love looks like, but it really isn't. But if you haven't experienced healthy love, then how are you supposed to know, right? Number 4, when you are feeling very hurt, even if the abusive parent is the one that's hurt you, you will turn to them for support, which doesn't make sense, right? Why would you turn to the person that's hurt you for support? But this is where the trauma bond shows. Number 5, you have real trouble trusting your own instincts or trusting your own reality. And this happens because you have been gaslighted systematically, because the narcissistic parent has been amazingly good at distorting the truth, at moving the goalposts, at changing your reality. So if you cannot trust yourself, then that is why. Number 6, you may be thinking of going no contact with a narcissistic parent, or you may have tried to do this in the past, but failed miserably. And the reason for this is that you actually think that you won't be able to survive without having contact with them. You don't think you can survive on your own without your parents. And to some extent, this is understandable. I mean, if you had healthy parents, why would you want a life without them, right? But when you have abusive parents, the best thing you can do for yourself is to go no contact. And I know this is a very painful thing to do, right? And only somebody who has been in this position, who has had abusive parents, can really know what this feels like and can really know the strength that it takes to do that. Because essentially you have to break the trauma bond in order to get away, but it is necessary. And the problem is that narcissistic parents haven't exactly equipped their children to be independent necessarily. Some children are infantilized, so the parent has made sure that they are dependent on the parent financially, emotionally, and the child, even when it's an adult, doesn't leave the family home. So if you are one of these adult children, then that is why. There are so many different types of manipulation and abuse, and the narcissist knows very well how to do this. They know very well how to control you. So this is the reason why you will have struggled to leave. But with the right support, it is possible. Number 7, you still have hope that they will get better, that they will be better, that they will improve their behavior, and that one day they will turn around and be the loving parents that you've always wanted. Now, to some extent, this is kind of normal. You want your parents to be loving and kind. You don't know what that's been like, so you're always going to hope that one day they're going to be the mum and dad that you always wanted, that they're going to love you, that they're going to accept you, that they're going to apologize and really mean it. Number 8, you will stay in the relationship with the narcissistic parents because you are dying for a little bit of attention. So this is similar to the point that I made earlier. You are hoping that they will give you that moment of kindness again, which will make you feel much better about yourself. Another sign that you are in a trauma bond is that you will isolate or distance yourself from people that are actually trying to help you, that are trying to support you, that are trying to support you to get away from your abuser, that are trying to support you to break free from this trauma bond. Once you start distancing yourself from them, you isolate yourself from them, then there's no going back. You will be right back in that abusive situation and you will not be able to get out of it. Unless, of course, you make an attempt again in the future. People will be there for you. People will be there to support you, especially those who understand abuse and who understand trauma bonds. But you are the one that can change this. You are the only one that can stick to going no contact and remain firm in your healing away from your abuser. Lastly, there is a huge reluctance to leave their relationship. So many people who are in abusive situations just stay in the same cycle of abuse and they never leave. And it's very, very sad because these individuals deserve to start over, deserve to love themselves unconditionally, deserve to be free of abuse, but sometimes they're just not strong enough and it's not their fault. It is just the nature of being in a trauma bond. It is very, very difficult. If you could relate to the topic of today's video, then please feel free to leave a comment below. And, if you found this especially hard, then please let me know and send me an email. If you know of somebody who's in this situation at the moment, or you're trying to help a partner or a friend, then please feel free to email me at courageisallyouneed@gmail.com. There is support for you. Thank you so much for listening and for watching, and I will see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.